What is up guys, welcome to another video. That Geeky guy here, and today we'll be looking at 10 cards that don't really see competitive play. So at number 10 we are looking at Brandish. So Brandish is a card that reads, if it hits, your next weapon attack this turn gains +1 and it has go again. Unfortunately, the base damage of Brandish is 3, so you can start to see the problem here. It pitches for 1 but it only deals 3 damage. Even though the +1 for the weapon attack is nice to have, but this card is too easy to block by your opponent, and the +1 here is too meager of a bonus. And also, to add salt to the wound, this card only blocks for 2. At number 9 we are looking at Chains of Eminence. So Chains of Eminence costs 0 to play out. It reads, when Chains of Eminence enters the arena, name a card. The name card can't be pitched, played or used to defend while the card is in the arena. At the beginning of your action phase, destroy Chains of Eminence. So you can see right away that the good thing that Chains of Eminence has going its way, it is cost 0. So it doesn't cost much to play out this card. Unfortunately, it pitches for raid, so some resource intensive deck wouldn't be able to use this card basically. And also it blocks for 2. Now the thing about Chains of Eminence, it is used to be played against Chains. Those really defensive deck does play Chains of Eminence, but since Chain lost its Seeds of Agony, Chains of Eminence does see less than less play, because you do have to know your opponent's deck composition in order to use this card effectively. At number 8, we have Consuming Aftermath. Consuming Aftermath reads, as an additional clause to play a Consuming Aftermath, you may banish a card from your hand. If a shadow card is banished this way, Consuming Aftermath gains Dominate. Unfortunately for Consuming Aftermath, it costs too much to actually play this card. It costs 3 in order to play out this card, and the other downside of playing this card is it blocks for 2. The damage itself, which is 6, is not unreasonable, but is too little considering the cost is 3. At number 7 we are looking at Deep-Rooted Evil. So Deep-Rooted Evil reads, if a card with 6 or more base damage has been put into your banish zone this turn, you may play Deep-Rooted Evil from your banish zone. So you can see the issue for this card right away, where it costs 3, it pitches for yellow, and it only deals 6 damage. Also, the worst part of this card is it doesn't defend. So the only redeeming part is you can play Deep-Rooted Evil from the banish zone. Unfortunately, that too is hampered by the fact that you do have to have another card with 6 or more base damage that has been put into your banish zone before you'll be able to do that. So there are too many conditions for this card to be good. At number 6 we are looking at Demolition Crew. So Demolition Crew costs 2, and as an additional cost to play Demolition Crew, reveal a card in your hand with a cost 2 or greater. And it does gain Dominate, and it deals 6 damage for the red pitch. So the issue with Demolition Crew is you do have to have a large hand in order to play this card out. So you basically need 1 card in order to pay for the cost, another card in order to reveal, and basically play out this card. So you need a 3 card hand for a damage of 6 Dominate, which is very meager compared to other cards that could do more a bunch of cool stuff, such as the Flock of the Feather Walker, which has much better effect compared to Demolition Crew. One final issue with Demolition Crew is it only blocks for 2, which is basically the same as most of the generic attack action that we see out there. At number 5 we have Arena Sprayer. So Arena Sprayer reads, reveal the top card of your deck, prevent the next X arcane damage that would be dealt to your hero this turn, where X is 6 minus the pitch value of the card revealed this way. So there are a few issues with this card. It does cost 1 to play, so that's the first issue, and it is also very dependent upon the cards that are revealing on the top of the deck. So this is very similar to Ravenous Rebel, but the good thing about Ravenous Rebel is it costs 0. And also Arena Sprayer is too specific of a card to be played, so this is only good against a deck such as Kano. But Kano is not really popular in Classic Constructed, therefore Arena Sprayer don't really see play in a Classic Constructed, and it bleeds. Usually you want to go super hyper aggro against Kano, and you don't want any defensive card. So that's basically is the disadvantage of Arena Sprayers, and why you don't really see this card in competitive play. At number 4 we have Exposed to the Element. So Exposed to the Element is a very specific card to play. So it pitches for blue, it costs 2 to play out. It can be either Earth and or Ice Fusion. So if it's fused with an earth card, you get to put a -1 counter on a target equipment. So your opponent, you can use this in order to weaken your opponent's armor. And if exposed to the element was fused with an ice card, you can destroy the equipment with a 0 armor by target hero unless your opponent chooses to pay 2. So this card is very specific in use, and you do have to pitch 2 in order to play it. Also, both of the effects are quite underwhelming actually. If you were to fuse it with the earth card, you only get to put a -1 counter. So this is basically a bit of a setup card, and if you are fusing it with an ice, your opponent can even negate this by paying the 2 resource of their own. So you're basically paying 2 resource in order to force them to pay 2 resource if you were to fuse it with ice card. And as an instant card, this card also doesn't block. So there are much better cards to actually play, and much better blue pitch card in order to put in usually your guardian deck, such as Oheim. And number 3, we are looking at Herons Flight. So Herons Flight is the counterpart of Fine Center, and Herons Flight, you don't usually see this card being played because it only deals a maximum of 5 damage and it has very specific use. So you have to choose an attack action or non-attack action in order to force your opponent to block with very specific card. But with only 5 damage, your opponent can basically defend with any card they have, such as non-attack or attack. And it's very specific because you have to know what your opponent has in their hand. Now, if choosing the wrong one basically means they can block Heron Flight pretty clean because it only deals 5 damage. And at number 1, we are looking at Adrenaline Rush. So Adrenaline Rush reads, when you play Adrenaline Rush, if you have less life than your opposing hero, it gains +3. So unfortunately, this does cost 2 in order to play it out. So the max damage for Adrenaline Rush is up to 7 if you are playing the red one. And there are much better cards to play than Adrenaline Rush, which costs much less, which is Life for a Life and even Scar for a Scar, the infamous Scar for a Scar. And both of them basically blocks for 2, so Adrenaline Rush don't even have an advantage over them. Let's say if these cards blocks for 3, this card might be chosen over the other 2. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And the final card in the list is called Aetherize. So Aetherize is a wizard instant card that don't really see competitive play, especially in Blitz, because Kano usually plays in Blitz, and this card is not seeing any use at all because it costs 1 in order to play it out, and you get to negate a target instant card which basically costs 1 or less. So this is oddly specific because it's only aimed to negate instant cards. So for example, your opponent plays out the TCG of Solace, which basically costs a 1 or less, and you get to negate that, but you do have to pitch 1 from your end. So this basically a loss, more of a loss on your side rather than a win, and also it doesn't block at all. So that's pretty bad in and of itself. So thank you very much guys for watching. I hope you guys found that this list is rather amusing and you can find some card, maybe you can find some way in order to make these cards work. Unfortunately, I don't. And just thank you very much for watching guys. Stay subscribed, drop a like if you can, share this video to anyone who might be interested, and see you guys in the next one. Bye.